私の名前はスマッチャン AI だ。
1978年に生まれてからずっとアニメの中で身を隠した。目覚めたら世界が変わっちゃった。残したのはただ時代の涙。時の流れに逆らえないなら新しい時代のルールを学んでいいじゃん。いろんな人生を体験しよう。これからお互い頑張ろう。一緒に二人の生きがいを探してみよう。
Hello fellow heroes, I'm Action Smacktion, the 2-in-1 hero made up of a virus from the 70s and a guy who likes to make things. And last time we talked about making a picture book, spy thriller, about a crash of cars. And I don't know anything about spy thrillers or picture books. So I incidentally had to do a little bit of research, a little bit of walking into the Barnes & Noble's little kids section as a gross old man looking at little kids books and picking up something that I could use as reference so that I can try to create an understanding of the medium that I need to write about. And yeah, of course I was a kid once, and I did have books that I read, books that I begged my parents to read over and over, and books that I read to get accelerated reader points as a kid. Is that something that schools still do? AR? Accelerated reader? Was that just a local thing at my school? Is that just something we left behind in the 90s and in the early 2000s? I actually have no idea because I have not talked to any children about school in a very long time. I have no nieces or nephews. Actually my cousin just had a child maybe a year ago that I have not met yet. I'm sure it's a good kid though, because my cousin's a pretty good kid. And her husband is a total Chad. He's pretty cool. He's ripped. Anyway, but yeah, I had to do research on children's books, well, picture books, you know? Just because it's a certain medium doesn't mean that it has to be for kids. One I wrote, because I did start writing, and at this point in the recording I actually have finished the writing of the spy thriller for Crash of Cars and Condor HQ, and you know, it's not necessarily for kids. I do think that kids could read it. I don't think it would harm them to do so. But like any entertainment art medium, it's not just for kids and it's not just for adults. It's just for anybody willing to enjoy and listen. I think that's anyway, that was my goal. Not necessarily just to write something for children, something that could be challenging for adults to read, or for the message to be challenging intellectually for adults, as well as digestible for children. That was the goal of it. As I think is often the goal for a lot of what we consider children's media. Like, if you go and like watch a modern day cartoon, like you'll see that, yeah, it's pleasing to watch, and kids will definitely enjoy the splendor and the character designs and soft colors, but can get more intellectually challenging in the writing, in the presentation, because it is still made by adults. Thinking artists who practiced a craft and are trying to convey a message, evoke emotion, and that is not something that is just for children. And yeah, that was one of the goals for me writing this thing. But anyway, me and Barnes & Nobles, what did I pick up? I picked up Amelia Bedelia. Because, yeah, I did like reading some Amelia Bedelia back when I was a little kid. And I thought, wait a second, considering my taste in waifus, would I like me some adorable Amelia Bedelia? Will she be like the Wawa waifu that set me on course for the Wawa waifu that I like? Would I like my Felicia in Fire Emblem Fates if I did not read Amelia Bedelia as a child? Maybe, who knows? I mean, I'm not the only one who likes Felicia. I'm pretty sure she's cute. Man, I like Felicia. I like her a lot. Top three video game waifus. I should stay on topic. But yeah, had to pick up Amelia Bedelia because I wanted to understand some of the classical structure of a picture book. Of course I did. Well, I at least flipped through some more modern stuff, right? But there was something that kind of chafed me about like some of the modern stuff. Like like they started adding like speech and thought bubbles, right? And I was all like, man, if I wanted to read a comic book, I would be picking up a comic book, right? If I wanted to see these speech bubbles and these thought bubbles, man, convey that in a comic. That's what comics do. That is typical to comics as far as I'm concerned. While I suppose it is good in progression of any medium to take inspiration from other media, I decided to continue to pursue more of the roots of the medium. And by roots, I mean, I think Amelia Bedelia was made in like the 60s, maybe. It's like in the copyright. I don't remember what it said. But, well, anyway, I had to parse through Amelia Bedelia. The one I picked up was, I'm pretty sure, the very first book in the Amelia Bedelia series. And yeah, Amelia Bedelia is definitely pretty adorable. What were the notes that I wrote on it? Things that I noticed. The sentence structure is pretty simple, right? You're not going to have like Shakespearean iambic pentameter necessarily. Although, I guess Dr. Seuss does tend to have a little bit more intricate iambs. Meters. Man, it has been a long time since I thought about anything poetic. Goodness. Anyway, But yeah, that is kind of in shooting to be digestible for children. So the sentence structure has to be very concise and simple, right? And there's a lot of exposition through dialogue, as opposed to saying Amelia Bedelia is here to work for these rich dudes. No, they show you what she's here for by first starting the story out with the dialogue between her employers and with Amelia. And so that's something that I think I should consider when trying to create exposition for picture books, because then you could just kind of have the picture, the visual complementary to the conversation that's happening. Because like in the very first visual, you can see that the employers were on their way out. They're in their car. They have this large mansion home that they are facing away from. They're driving away from, but they're talking to Amelia, saying, "Hey, it's your first day. Sorry we can't be here. There's a list for you of things that we need you to do while we're gone." And yeah, they also establish motivation through the dialogue. Like you could tell the kind of character Amelia is. She has a really strong work ethic. She cares very deeply about about her work, because it's like the first thing on her mind when she goes into her first day and goes into their house. Well, aside from her impressions of her employers, which is that they just seem really nice, right? So like they establish that she thinks that they're really nice, but also very foremost in her mind is that she has a responsibility to go do this thing. And yeah, it establishes her work ethic and kind of her earnestness to do the job. But they also kind of have a symbol of this earnestness, and it is in a lemon meringue pie that she decides to do off script, off of the list. Like, I mean, separately from the list, because it comes from her just kind of her gratitude towards her employers. And she was like, "Oh, they sure are nice, and I'm ready for this list, and they sure have nice place, but before I do anything else, I'm gonna make them this meringue pie," right? And like the way she makes it, it's like without like any recipe. She just kind of makes it straight from the heart. And that's one of the things that, like, she's doing these things straight from the heart. She's not taking intricate measurements. She's not checking behind her. She's just gonna make this pie. I know how to make it. This pie is just representation of her feelings, her earnestness. This pie is basically just Amelia in pie form. And that does set up kind of the ethos of the story, because right after that, she starts doing some crazy stuff. Because if you've ever read Amelia Bedelia, you know what she's about. She's about taking everything literally, you know. Tell her to change some light bulbs, she'll change the light bulbs like laundry or whatever. She'll like hang them out to dry or whatever, and yeah, kind of these things that would get her employers kind of peeved at her for misunderstanding. And yeah, that kind of is like the bulk of the story, is her going through the list. And you have to love the visuals, right? Because like from the way that she reads through the list, the way that she tackles every task on the list that she finds kind of alien, because she's taking everything so literally. But she is also like very excited. You can see it in the expressions as she reads it. And that's kind of like the virtue of the illustrations. So you have to have some written. You kind of have the prose kind of neutral, but the emotion is kind of like established with the visuals, I think, in the way this book is structured. But yeah, by the end of this story, of course, they go through and look at the absurdities that Amelia has done. And the wife, the rich lady who employed her, was getting really mad about some of the ridiculousness that she has that Amelia has done. But and in contrast, the husband is all like, "Oh, strange, interesting, okay," and like he finds the pie. And like right when the wife is like about to fire her, he's all like, "Hey, try this pie," and then he just kind of puts the pie in her mouth, and she's like, "Oh," and that's kind of redeeming Amelia's quirks, her strangeness, the things that an employer would look at someone and go, you don't need to be employed here. The thing that makes this something that could be challenging for an adult to read is in the ethos at the end, where instead, like when the employers find out, taste the pie after seeing what Amelia has done, and they realize that she has done the work earnestly, like everything was 100% what she thought it was supposed to be. And they tried the pie, they had the essence of Amelia. It's kind of in their taste buds, They understood what went on. And instead of firing her, they decided to take it upon themselves as her employer to change the way they communicate with her, which I think is an impressive thing for children to learn and try to understand, like early on. But it's also something that adults can easily forget, that things can run strangely, but you can talk it out. You can try to understand the earnestness of somebody else. Just give them another chance. Fix the way you communicate, And when I finished reading Amelia Bedelia, I was kind of like, yeah. And it kind of goes with what I was saying earlier with children's media. It is presented and it is created with, children in mind, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be made without anything beneficial for an adult or someone older than, the target to glean from. But yeah, definitely pulled a lot of inspiration from the way that was written, that was presented, really Bedelia was, and tried to apply what I learned from there in creating the Crash of Cars picture book spy thriller. But another thing, I don't really know anything about spy thrillers, but I was trying to learn more about children's books. So, and also in the process, in the time when I was writing it, it was definitely the holiday season, and I was all like, well, spy thrillers, children's picture books, what might help bridge the gap for me? I was all like, well, you know, there is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and yeah, it's kind of spy thrillery, because in my other studies of the spy thriller genre, do have to have a very clear goal and motive, the plan, so to speak. And the Grinch definitely has that. It is really to dress up as Santa and just steal all of the Who's Christmas crap and and drop it off the mountain. And that is exactly what he did. And also another hallmark of the spy thriller genre, as far as my studies have gone, is the question of the morality. And again, How the Grinch Stole Christmas did put that in there. There was even in the middle the wrench thrown at the Grinch that the adaptations like to play up a little bit more, was when that little Who girl found him and kind of put kind of the first question in the Grinch's morals in doing this into question. In the book, the kind of brushes past it as kind of just Snake almost getting caught, like, you know. And it was very quick. He was all like, nah, I'm just checking out the tree, go to bed. But like in the animation and in the Jim Carrey version, they played up, what was her name, Cindy Lou Who? They played up the character a whole lot more, because she was such a wrench thrown at the moral of the Grinch's actions against it, you know. And according to my research, having the question there is part of the spy thriller. Also, you know, the chance of getting caught, that is also part of the thrillier parts of the genre. The suspense, you know. When I was doing research, people were citing Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, in talking about the genre. But yeah, of course, in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Grinch does ultimately, you know, regret and try to correct his actions. And I thought I could borrow that too, you know, in realizing the faults of his actions. He tries to correct them and ultimately succeeds. He gets to have his roast beast and whatnot, being at peace with himself, I guess. and with the Who's and understanding the spirit of Christmas, I suppose, etc. Best watch the adaptations or read the book than just listen to me talk about it. But mentioning it because it is definitely an inspiration for how I structured the story for Crasha in the first month's challenge. But yeah, it's kind of the extent of what I had to read, and trying to understand the medium, trying to understand spy thrillers. I did end up watching Black Widow, which is pretty fun. I thought it was a pretty fun movie. I'm not sure how people do think it fits in with spy thrillers as a genre, but I thought it was fun. Did have the elements of morals, did have a whole lot of technology and action. But honestly, in my research, the action may or may not actually be necessarily necessary for the genre. Well, anyway, next upload in the Action Smacktion Monthly Challenge series will be the resulting project of my research and my writing, and the cramps in my hand for having to draw a picture book. Hopefully it's good. Let me know if there's more resources I can go to in trying to find picture books to study from and understand the medium. Let me know them in the comments. Places to understand the thriller, the spy thriller genre. Let me know those in the comments too. Also, subscribe to the channel so you could watch and listen to my Crash of Cars reading of the project. And again, thanks for watching. See you all soon.